Hey YouTubies, how's it going? Alright, today I decided to come on here and tell you about how this is a sad time of year for me. This is a really hard time. This season, I guess you say, autumn. Most people have, the winter blues, or I'm not sure what else. There's another word for it, but I can't think of the word. Me, it's in autumn, particularly in October, between September and October. And it takes me a while to push past this feeling. Hang there. Well, before I get started, I am going to help perk my mood up. I'm going to open up a pack of Fun Dip to brighten my mood. It's this time of year that I get sad because back when I was younger, Anthony and I tried to have babies and we were never never successful. This is hard. Some of you may know, and I know a lot of you don't know, we don't have children. We never had children. I wanted children, but we never had children. Instead, we have two beautiful cats named Bruce and Diana, which I love. They're our babies now. They're our fur babies. But back when we were younger, we tried, when we were first married and such, we tried, can't get it open. We tried, oh, it's broken. The rest of it better not be broken. Okay, good. We tried to have babies and we weren't successful. When we first got married, of course, you never know if you're going to have a boy or a girl when you have a baby. So I knew right from the beginning that things weren't set in stone. I know that, realistically. But being hopeful that I am, and that we had hopes of having 2 boys and 2 girls. And in case we had such things happen, we had their names pre-planned out. Gosh, this is harder to talk about than I thought it was going to be. I don't think I've ever told maybe like a half a handful of people about this, and that's usually been in text. I've never actually said the words out loud of, oh my God. Let me get a bite. I gotta lighten the mood. I didn't get very much. Give me a second, I'll get back to things. I'm not trying to stall, this is hard. Still didn't get much. Come on, give me some. There we go. That's better. That's more like it. That's definitely more like it. Okay. When we were young, I'm having anxiety because of this. This is being so hard. My chest is feeling tight. I have trouble breathing. When we were younger, we had hopes of having 4 babies, 2 boys, 2 girls. And I had their names pre-planned out of what they would be if we had such things happen. If we had the first little girl, she was going to be named Caitlin Elaine Lovisa LaBelle. Caitlin Elaine Lovisa LaBelle. Caitlin is the little girl I used to babysit, her name was Kathleen, but she went by Katie. So that's why Caitlin, she'd be called Katie. Elaine was Anthony's mother's name. Lavisa is my middle name, and it's my mom's middle name, my second cousin's middle name is my grandmother's middle name, and my grandmother's middle name. So it's been passed through the family, Lovisa. So, and then of course LaBelle is her last name. If we had our second little girl, she was going to be named Michaela Dawn Nicole LaBelle. Michaela because I liked it, Dawn because I liked it, Nicole because I liked it, and LaBelle. I can't say her last name. Oh, geez. If we had our first boy, his name was going to be Stephen Eugene Emmanuel LaBelle. Can't talk! I said, this is very hard. For reals. This is probably the hardest story time I've ever actually told to you guys or anybody. I don't think I've even told my mama about this. I tell her a lot of things, but I've never told her about this, because this is like up there in the hard scale. If we had our first little boy, Stephen Eugene Emmanuel LaBelle. Stephen because Anthony's best friend at that time when we got married, best friend and our best man was named Stephen. Eugene was one of the guys that we were very good friends with in our church. His first name was Eugene, and he was I used to say one of the sound operators for the music when we had our wedding. Emmanuel, we liked it because at the time we were, I think it was around Christmas time when we come up with this name. One of the songs had Emmanuel in it, so we just put it in with the names. The next little boy we had, if we had one, was going to be named Jonathan Michael Hunter LaBelle. Jonathan, my dad's name is Johnny. It's not Jonathan, it's actually Johnny. But if we had a little boy, we was going to name him Jonathan, and he'd go by John. Michael, because that is the name of one of Anthony's favorite cousins, and Mike's middle name is Hunter. So that's how we came up with all the names. Well, back in the day when we were younger, we tried to have babies because we wanted them. And I think I would have been a good mama. Things didn't work out because I had endometriosis, which that back then I hadn't gone to the doctor till years later. So at that time, I didn't know it was endometriosis. All I know is that time of the month all the time. Oh my God, all the time. Like I said in a previous video, Aunt Flo would come to visit anywhere from 2 days to a month and a half. It was bad. It was painful. It was horrible. Embarrassing. Oh, excuse me, I got the hiccups. Oh, excuse me. And if I'd been smart, like I said in another video, what the heck? Excuse me. If I'd been smart back in the day, I would have gone to the doctor and got treatment and either would have been put on hormones or hysterectomy, something, anything to take care of the problem. Hopefully I would have been put on hormones so that we could still, we get the problem with the endometriosis taken care of and possibly still have children, because I've heard some people that have had endometriosis and still had children. It wasn't the case for me. So, because we tried to have children and we had 3 miscarriages. That was heartbreaking. I remember particularly the very first time we miscarried. Anthony and I, we laid in bed and we snuggled and we cried. We cried together, all snuggling, because it was so painful to deal with. Losing our baby. At that time, oh my gosh, I was newly pregnant. I was only maybe 2 months along, 3 months at most, something like that. I wasn't real far. So still to this day, I don't know if it was actually because of endometriosis or if it was because I fell on macaroni noodles when I worked at the pasta factory. Him and I, that's how we met, was we met at the pasta factory in my hometown. He was a machine operator and I was a general. And I oftentimes as a general, I would do work on a line, or when the line I was working on was down for a while because of maintenance or whatever, I go around and clean. I grab a broom and a dustpan and a clean. Because, you know, I'm not one of these type. I always had to be busy. I always had to be moving. I couldn't be lazy. I had to be moving. I had to. If I stood around, the day just went so slow. I couldn't stand that. And that's just not the way I do things. My parents always had taught me good work ethics. God, I can't talk today. I'm sorry. I'm stuttering over my words. This is really hard. But yeah, there's, I don't know how to describe it. At the pasta factory, they had little bins for the macaroni. Well, actually for different types of noodles, I'll put it that way. They had little bins, they're about yay wide, or yay wide, and about yay deep, and about yay wide, or you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, not very big. About the size of a shoebox, let's put it that way. And oftentimes it'd be spaghetti that would be in those little bins. It had a little, each one had a little, there's only a conveyor belt, and the little, we'll say this is the little bin I'm trying to explain about. It move along like this, and it'd eventually go up and up and up. Well, sometimes each one of these things would be on a hinge. So that little shoebox, so to speak, could swivel. And sometimes when on the conveyor belt, if things happened, those little shoebox would, not really a shoebox, it was a pasta. God, this is going to sound so dumb. But it'd swivel, and sometimes it'd dump the pasta that was in those bins out onto the floor. In this case, it was elbow macaroni. And so I went around, being a general labor person, I would go around and sweep up the macaroni or any other pasta and put it into the trash bin. I know it sounds gross, but they use the trash bins when you sweep up stuff like that to use for pet food. Like, gross. Poor animals. I didn't agree with that part. Anyway, when trying to sweep up the macaroni, I fell on some of it because it's like stepping on marbles. It just like makes you lose your balance and you fall. I fell on my butt, and instantly I felt like something was wrong. And sure enough, I'd had a miscarriage. When I got home, I started bleeding. I don't even remember how long it was after I fell. So like shortly after that, like a day or two later, reluctantly I had a separate doctor's visit. And that doctor, the creepy doctor, he did a pap smear. There was a nurse in the room with him, but she was only half paying attention to what he was doing and stuff. And he was like having a little fun in there. As traumatic as it was, should have sued him, to be honest. But he ended up sending me to the hospital. I had to drink a 32-ounce glass of water, just like I did recently for the most recent pap smear. 32-ounce glass of water to have an ultrasound. And sure enough, I'd had a miscarriage. Well, the other 2 miscarriages I had later on down the road, I knew they were miscarriages, and bad me, stupid me, I don't know which way you want to call it, I didn't go to the doctor. I just dealt with it. But because of all that produced a lot of mega buttloads of depression on top of all the depression, anxiety, and everything I already had from my entire life with dealing with dad and bullies at school and everything else. So I've not had an easy life, to be honest. Everybody thinks I have, thinks I'm so strong and everything. No, I'm not. I just have learned to survive, to be honest. Well, long story short, I guess this is a very short story, sorry. But a couple years later, I still hadn't fully dealt with my baby's deaths. And I hadn't put all that to rest in my mind. So we were getting ready to move from our house to move into an apartment. And one day when Anthony was at work, I went outside with 3 yellow ribbons, because I didn't know if they were boys or girls. I went outside with 3 yellow ribbons and some flowers. And I went to the walnut tree in the backyard. Oh, God. And I said goodbye to my babies. It was sort of a little memorial service. Just say goodbye to them and release that. Release all that. Of course, all that still comes with me because it's still hard. But because I hadn't dealt with things back then, I needed to do that. I needed to say my goodbyes to my babies. Little angels. I think I would have been a good mama. I had so many ideas and so many plans for them. Spoil them and make them happy. And I didn't get to do it. There's a napkin when you need one. One time I wore a little bit of mascara and there it goes. Didn't intend to cry. Oh God. This is hard. So yeah, I didn't, because of things, I didn't actually get to have a actual funeral service for them or an actual memorial service or anything. So I had my personal memorial service for them. That really helped, I will admit. I wish I could have got a chance to meet my babies. So yeah, it was around this time of year, like towards the end of September, beginning of October, when I had this little memorial service for them. And that's why I always have a hard time around this time of year, because it's hard. It's only recently that I've told Anthony about my little memorial service I had for them. All these years, I've carried that with me. I couldn't tell him. I couldn't tell anybody. I've only told like 3 other people before this. He was one of the 3. Because of my first miscarriage, I was working full-time at the pasta factory. And because of my miscarriage, I lost my job. I got fired. In between the miscarriage and getting fired, I was just so devastated. I didn't realize at that time that I could have sued, because I had the proof that I had the miscarriage. But I was in so much shock and extreme depression that I just lost my job, and I didn't do anything about it. I just, because of that point on, after the 3rd one, I started having a little bit of endometriosis issues after that. So I don't know if it was falling on the pasta, or if it was endo to cause the issues, or maybe a combination. I don't know. But I gained so much weight because of depression. And because of it, I shut down, basically. A couple of years, actually. I couldn't bring myself to work. It just, which that caused issues with Anthony and I. We fought a lot and everything. And of course, like I said, he was, in previous video, he was undiagnosed diabetic back then, and he was like an angry drunk. So, wow, we had some go-arounds because of everything. And that contributed to my depression and overeating back then also. I will say that having that little ceremony for them, I think that was one of the best things I'd ever done for myself. When I should have done it when after I had the first miscarriage. I had a little service for that baby, but I couldn't. Like I said, I shut down. So it wasn't until after I'd had the 3rd miscarriage that, and we were getting ready to move, where we were moving to an apartment, there was no trees and there was no privacy to do anything such, like having a ceremony like that. Whereas we had a nice big backyard, and our yard was fenced in, chain link fenced in all the way around. And our lower part of our yard, it had a walnut tree in it, and it looked like it almost had a little park. It almost looked like a little park in itself down our lower yard, because we had a lot of shrubs and bushes and trees all along the edges of the chain link fence in the lower yard. that added to the privacy. So when I had my little ceremony for my babies, it was totally in private. I stayed out there for probably about an hour, just having my ceremony with my babies and talking to them. No, I'm sorry they didn't come into this world, that things didn't work out, and that I will always love them. Even though I never got to meet them, I will always love them. So anywho, I hope you're all right with this video. I've never told anybody other than Anthony and 2 other people. So maybe some of you can relate. Maybe you've had miscarriages as well. Maybe have a little private ceremony yourself will help you move on as well. I don't know. I do know it helped me. I still feel the pain. It didn't take that away. But it did help me move on. Or at least work on moving on. I've moved on now, but back then it was a process. So anywho, if you guys are new to our channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell. If you or your partner have had a miscarriage and you know the pain and you want to tell me about it in the comments, or even if you want to talk to me in private messages on Instagram or Facebook or even TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I'm not usually on. I made a fan page, but I'm not usually on there. I don't know why. But if you look me up, Vicky LaBelle, and you want to send me a message and talk to me about it, I'll listen. Because stuff like this is hard, and sometimes that's all we need is somebody to listen to us. So that way we can work on moving past that pain. Like I said, this is a hard time of year for me. But anywho, I'm going to catch you guys again later, and bye-bye.